From being extremely rude and hostile toward his competitors, to refusing to accept that he has a serious attitude problem, here's why everyone hates Max Verstappen. There's no denying that this Red Bull driver is one of the best in the game right now, but he does have a bunch of issues affecting his reputation in the F1 world right now. Just take his aggressive driving style, for example. Max has a reputation for driving his competitors totally nuts by cutting them off in the braking zone. Picture this. You're cruising down the track, minding your own business, and bam, Max swoops in, slicing across your path like a daredevil. No wonder his rivals hated him. This Dutch speed demon has always been known for his rash driving. Since his breakout year at Toro Rosso in 2015, he's been rubbing elbows with rivals and stirring up trouble. Remember that Belgian Grand Prix fiasco? Max went all out on turn 1, but things went south real quick when he collided with Kimi Raikkonen's Alfa Romeo. Game over for him. But it's not just his crashes that got people riled up. Jolyon Palmer spilled the beans on another Verstappen trademark that had his rivals fuming. During an esports event, Palmer analyzed a couple of hair-raising moments involving Sebastian Montoya. He pointed out how Max used to pull the same stunts in F1, cutting across other drivers in the braking zone. Talk about a big no-no. Of course, nobody likes him, but hey, love him or hate him, you can't deny his skills behind the wheel. Even 2009 F1 champ Jenson Button gave the guy some props. But of course, none of that excuses this kind of behavior. I mean, the guy's got a serious attitude problem, and he can get pretty darn offensive. During the Portuguese Grand Prix, Max had a nasty clash with Lance Stroll, and things got real ugly real quick. The dude started spewing out some offensive language over the team radio, and it wasn't pretty. Max was mad, going as far as to yell at Stroll, calling him blind. Now, some folks might argue that it's just a case of a racer blowing off steam, but let me tell you, it went way beyond that. Max went on to drop some seriously hurtful words, like calling Stroll a retard and a Mongol. And that's just not cool, man. Retard is a nasty slur against people with disabilities, and Mongol carries racial connotations. But this isn't the first time he's used that kind of language. Yeah, back in 2017, Verstappen called a racing official the same thing. Now here's what really grinds my gears. The man hasn't faced any consequences for his offensive outbursts. In other sports, players get punished for spewing hate speech. But somehow, Verstappen gets a free pass, which has led the fans to think that it's time for Formula One and the FIA to step up and hold him accountable. I mean, they've got this "we race as one" thing going on, right? Well, it's about time they put their money where their mouth is. The fans believe that Verstappen needs to face some sort of punishment, whether it's sensitivity training or a suspension from racing. His words have consequences, and it's high time he learns that. But you know, it's not just his rivals that the Dutch driver pisses off with his actions. It's also his own teammates. Can you believe it? Let me take you back to the 2022 Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Red Bull wanted Max to let his teammate Perez pass him, but he straight up refused. He told his team to never ask that of him ever again, saying that he was going to stand by his decision. Talk about a middle finger to team orders. And it didn't end there. Perez called him out, saying that his reaction showed who Max really was. Yeah, the shots were fired, but here's the crazy part. People lost their minds on social media, attacking Max, and even his family. I mean, come on, folks. Sure, not everyone's gonna agree with everything a racer does, but the hate Verstappen received was next level. Even people who knew nothing about F1 stepped in to talk smack about the driver. And honestly, I can't blame them. There's a fine line between being a fierce competitor and being a jerk. Many people think that Verstappen crossed that line. According to his own fans, the man's got skills behind the wheel, but his attitude needs a serious tune-up. Because all the people who support him deserve better than that. By the way, guys, the Verstappen and Perez drama doesn't end there. There's more to the story, and it shows how petty this Red Bull driver really is. Let's just say Perez's victory in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix really rubbed Max off the wrong way. The reigning world champ pulled off an impressive feat by charging from 15th place to nab second behind Perez. But instead of showing some love and support for his teammates' triumph, Max just had to ruin everyone's mood. He whined about not being happy with the result and how he didn't come to the race to settle for second. Talk about a major buzzkill. Red Bull was crushing it with back-to-back 1-2 finishes in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, racking up those sweet constructor points. But Max's behavior once again revealed his total lack of respect for the team, and former F1 champ Nico Rosberg, who knows a thing or two about being part of a winning team, called him out for it. He called Max weak for his attitude toward his teammate, and I have to agree. Even his most loyal fans were forced to wonder why the driver was being such a sore loser. Interestingly, things got even more awkward when footage circulated showing Verstappen's own dad, Jos, giving the cold shoulder to the celebration after Perez's victory. Yikes. You see, in a sport like F1, teamwork is absolutely crucial. You can't just be a one-man show and expect to come out on top. That's something Rosberg knows all too well, having played second fiddle to Lewis Hamilton for ages. He's got the experience and the insight to call out Verstappen's poor attitude. So let's hope this young driver learns something from the veteran. But guess what? The list of Verstappen being rude to other F1 drivers and inviting fan hate just doesn't end. Remember that time he got called out for cursing out George Russell at the Azerbaijan sprint? Man, this guy knows how to get under people's skin. So here's the deal. During the race, Russell made contact with Verstappen early on, causing some serious damage to the Red Bull. And of course, our hot-headed driver wasn't going to let that slide. At the end of the race, he straight up called Russell some pretty inappropriate names over the contact. And believe me when I say that you could feel the tension between these two. Now, Russell did apologize, claiming he didn't mean to do it, blaming grip issues for the whole thing. But that didn't fly with Verstappen. He argued that everyone was struggling with grip out there and didn't hold back on the colorful language while he went off. Needless to say, fans went wild on social media. One Twitter user slammed Max, saying he was being a real turnip in that moment. Ouch. Another fan criticized his response, calling it classless and unnecessary. But hey, Tom Bellingham from P1 with Matt and Tommy found some humor in the situation. He even joked that this whole incident could be the trailer for Drive to Survive Season 6, like a real-life soap opera out there on the track. So yeah, Verstappen has a knack for stirring up controversy and rubbing people the wrong way. Some fans love his fiery personality, but others just can't stand it. Either way, you can always count on him to bring the drama to the F1 circus. But hey, it would have been one thing if Verstappen admitted to his mistakes and tried to work them. But nope, this guy thinks he's perfect, which makes him so much more annoying for a lot of people. Let's rewind to the Grand Brazilian Prix, where the Dutch demon was ordered to let Perez pass, and he refused. But then, instead of owning up to it and saying, "Hey, I messed up," the man went on a rampage, attacking fans and reporters for calling him out on his behavior. He insisted that he's never been a bad teammate to anyone, and criticized fans for their disgusting comments on social media. I mean, come on, Max. We're all human. We all make mistakes. But it takes a real person to admit when they've screwed up. According to the fans, it's like the driver's living in his own little world where he can do no wrong. And the worst part is, he's dragging his team down with him. Look, I'm all for fierce competition and rivalries in sports. They're part of the game, but behavior like this is when you start losing the respect of your fans. And as far as they're concerned, they believe that Max Verstappen needs a reality check, and fast. Otherwise, he's going to keep alienating his supporters and damaging his reputation in the sport. So, from refusing to accept that he has a serious attitude problem to being extremely rude and hostile towards his competitors, this was why fans hate Max Verstappen.